Okay, so let's actually get into what's going on here with this sample. The main component is is using the ESI's velocity 2 modulation, specifically modulating the sample start point and just really cranking that up to either plus 100 or minus 100%. So let's look at the structure of the sample. We have a head section here, a body section, and a tail section. The head section is going to have some kind of introductory modulation to it, like this is just amplitude modulation here. This is to give it a bit of texture as the note is coming in. The body is going to be the main section that just repeatedly loops indefinitely of the pad. And it's going to be sustained mostly with a bit of texture on top. So you can see here, oops. Those little plinky plonky bits, those are to give it a bit of texture. And this tail section here is, oops, goddamn, is just a bit of random chance that it will land on this as the sample is ending after you've let off the key. So there's just a random chance you'll get a bit of extra texture here with this more randomized amplitude modulation. So really what's only necessary is the body section, but I would suggest incorporating the head and the tail sections as well, because they'll give you a bit of a lot more randomized flavor to it and make it sound more organic. And to get this part, the tail, working, you need to disable the loop and release option. And I think it was, I don't know, I'll show it on the screen from the manual. So let's talk about how I actually made the sample, or actually the sonic components of it. What it is a filtered C note as the bass. Oops. That component. And then what I did was I copied that and transposed it an octave higher, and then I opened up the filter on just the higher octave version, and I vocoded it with a really time-stretched recording of me typing on a keyboard, and that's what these little plinky plonky things are. And then what I did was actually, what did I do? I ran it through a bit of reverb and stereo delay to widen it a bit. And then I also did a very slow phaser on top of it. And then you can hear there's a bit of sample and hold resonance type stuff going on. And that was just me running it through a low pass filter with the resonance really cranked up and modulating the cutoff with the sample and hold LFO, and then mixing that subtly back in with the completely dry signal. And so because of that, you'll hear these really boomy type parts. I think like here as well. Oops. And it sounds like it's going to be a problem just because this is an isolated note. But once you start duplicating this and playing actual chords with it, it's going to really even it out and sound pretty fine, I'd say. So I'd suggest leaving that in, or maybe toning it down very minimally, because what it does is it adds dynamic range to all this, and it helps the sample breathe. It makes it sound more organic. Okay. And if you do incorporate any kind of modulation, such as with the phaser I did, I would suggest you keep it really slow, because once you start playing higher pitches, that's going to scale with the speed of any modulation, and it's just going to sound a bit goofy if you have really fast modulation. And the slowness, it sort of gives it a more relaxed feeling to it. So I'd say that's probably what you'd look for in a pad. I don't know. You can make your pads however, but this is just how I do it. But basically, what you want is just a lot of modulation going on, or just sonic variation going on in this whole thing. You see, it's dynamic, it's got a lot of volume variation, and there's different pitches going on with the high resonance low pass filter, and then the vocoded bits. And it really just, no single part of the sample is going to sound exactly the same, and that's basically just what you want. That's what you're going to want to be working with. Because when you randomize because when you modulate the sample start point with the velocity, it's going to, each note you play just naturally is going to be starting from a different point, and each point it starts at is going to sound different, and that's going to really help it sound organic. And if you're worried about this last part with the sample start modulation, what it does actually is it only takes this section from the very start of the sample to the end of the loop, and then that's the point it's going to start plonking your notes down for the sample starts. And you really want to crank up the velocity to sample start value to 100% or minus 100%, or else you're just going to be limiting yourself to just a very small section of this when you want the whole thing as much as you can. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Hopefully it was of use to you, I guess. I don't know. Whatever. See ya.